Welcome in, everyone, to our season 2 premiere episode of the happiest podcast on YouTube. We thank you all for joining us today. Moving along towards tonight, we have a lot of exciting and juicy theme park news and updates to talk about. And at any time during tonight's stream, you are more than welcome to stop us at any time for discussion. So let's get into it. So, starting off, we have a very special guest joining us this evening. So please welcome George from George the Disney Italiano and Hello Gelato. Thank you for joining us. Please tell our
Absolutely.
viewers where they can find you and any new content to check out.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for inviting me on. I always enjoy these in-depth conversations with the theme parks involving Disney, Universal, Knott's Berry Farm. So again, thank you so much for having me on. But in any case, yes, I'm George, the Disney Italiano. I am the co-founder of Hollow Gelato with my fiance, Abby. She's the Hollow, I'm the Gelato because she's Filipina, I'm Italian. And we basically do in-park vlogs, at Disney, Universal, Knott's Berry Farm. But we also do a lot of other what we call like life vlogs. We do a lot of things outside the theme parks, whether it's events around uh, Los Angeles or Orange County. We cover all that. And we also do in studio podcasting as well. So we just do a plethora of many different things on the channel. As it is in Tagalog, hala halo means mix it up. So that's basically what the channel is all about. But you can find us on Holo Gelato on YouTube and also on Instagram.
Very nice. And I am Amusement Park Pirates. You can follow me on YouTube. You can also follow me on Twitter, X, Threads. It's all there. We go live every Thursday or Friday, sometimes both days. Times vary, but like I said, welcome to Hello Gelato, George the Disney Italiano. First time being on this podcast, so we're happy and thrilled to have you join us. So before we jump into today's conversations, I would like to. There are some new friends. There are some friends in here that I want to say hello to. First, we have Spencer Walker. Welcome in. Good to see you. And Theo Sam Eagle. Welcome in. Good afternoon to everyone as well. So to start things off, we have gotten two exciting news referring to the 2026 Lunar New Year celebration at Disney California Adventure. And this year will be the year of the horse. And Horace Horsecollar will be the mascot during this celebration. I do want to share my screen because recently, credit to Scott Gustin. Recently, according to Scott Gustin, we have some breaking news that Red Panda May will be making her meet and greet debut. You can usually spot her during Better Together Parade, which was a parade at DCA. But this is going to be the first time that guests will be meeting her for the first time. Another exciting news is that the foodie guide for Lunar New Year has also dropped this past week. And let's go ahead and kind of review it. And I do have a presentation um, regarding what I would recommend of trying. So things first. Over at the Longevity Noodle Company, they are having they are having garlic noodles, which is garlic noodles tossed in zesty garlic butter with parmesan, and then uh, they have a new dish called the japchae noodles with kalbi short rib. Um, George, what are your thoughts about this menu for Longevity Noodle Company?
So with the menu just in general, because I was briefly going over it with Abby and everything, and I'm starting to like notice a repetitive pattern when it comes to a lot of these foodie events in the park, and majority of the dishes are dishes that they have had in the past that they're bringing back. But I am excited for like some of the new dishes that they're actually bringing out. I wish that they would have more um, new dishes to try than just the ones that keep on coming back. So I am actually really excited for the new noodle dish. I love short rib, and I love noodles. So I mean, to have a combination of the two, I'm very curious. Um, I have had the garlic noodles. They were really good. I mean, they were just like just your basic, pasta tossed in, a garlic butter sauce with Parmesan cheese. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. But it was really good. But I'm very curious to see how the noodles with the short ribs are.
Yeah, and I have tried the garlic noodles before, and they were really good. My only concern is the zesty garlic butter and the parmesan feel a little on the, I would say it's too overpowering. Um, but I mean, it's a good staple to have, and I'm curious to see what the japchae noodles, see what that's all about. But great things to come for longevity. Let's see. Going towards Lucky Eight Lantern, they are having two returning menu items. They have a pho dip with rice noodles, sliced beef, shaved, shaved jalapenos, pickled onions, and pho broth, as well as a chocolate firecracker with light chocolate mousse, chocolate ganache filling, chocolate almond decoys, and popping candy featuring Dove dark chocolate. Might I just say that the chocolate firecracker was really good the last time that I tried it last year. Um, I'm not really a big fan of pho, but I'm giving to go another try for this year. How about you, George? What are your thoughts?
So for me, I actually enjoy pho. Abby is not a fan of it. She's more team ramen than team pho. Um, I more so go for pho. I did have the pho dip with the rice noodles. I actually really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite dishes, actually. So am glad to see it returning. But I'm very curious if they tweak it any bit, like as far as like the taste and everything. So I hope it's just as good as it was last year. As far as the chocolate firecracker, I did not try that before. I'm not a huge chocolate fan, and more so not a huge dark chocolate fan. But for content purposes, being that I didn't try it last year, and you say that it actually was really good, I might actually give it a go this year to try it.
Moving over to Prosperity Bell and Buns, these two menu items are returning once again. Um, First off is a char siu barbecue pork bao with pickled red onions and jalapeno, as well as a kung pao bao with plant-based chicken toasted peanuts and scallions. So I have tried both of those items this past, I think the past 2 years, and I'm not really a jalapeno person. Like those jalapenos in the char siu pork bao, uh, they were really spicy. So if you're into a jalapeno spicy, if you're willing to give a hint of spice in your bao, make sure to try the char siu barbecue pork bao. But as far as the Kung Pao Bao goes, I really enjoyed it last year. The chicken, the peanuts, and the scallions worked really well together. And so, just curious, George, what are your thoughts on these two returning items?
So for me, I did get the barbecue pork bao. I actually really enjoyed it. I'll probably get it again this year. Yeah, I think for me, I think that's just a little bit of the frustration with these returning uh, events is they constantly like to just have a constant repeat of the foods, but the food that I did enjoy, I will definitely be getting again. The Kung Pao Bao I have not tried just because I'm not a huge fan of like the plant-based foods. However, there was one food item. It was during I think it was during one of the food and wine festivals, and I ended up getting it over at the backlot area for Hollywoodland, and it was a plant-based chicken, and it's all that they had because they ran out of the regular one. I forget which year it was, and I forget what the food item was, but I ended up just getting it just because, just wanted to try. And I have to say, it actually was really good, being a plant based food item. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm not opposed to trying it just because since there really isn't a whole lot of new items this year, so maybe I can kind of fill in the gaps by trying some of the items that I didn't try from last year.
Moving along with Wrapped with Love. This is another food marketplace in DCA. The only returning item is the egg roll, the quesadilla egg roll with guajito peppers consume. So last year I tried it on stream, um, and it was honestly very good. I didn't really taste the guajillo pepper consume. I guess it's probably with the sauce. I'm not sure, but the consistency, the breading was perfect to its what's its face. Um, I'm blanking. I think it's really good. I would say. Not trying to favor, but I would definitely try the egg roll once again because it was really good. How about you, George?
So I'm trying to remember if we tried this or not. For some reason, this is not ringing a bell. I don't know if Abby ended up trying this and I didn't. I have to ask her. But for some reason, this doesn't look familiar to me. So I don't know if we got around to trying this. Um, so if that's the case, I'm really excited to then try this because even if this is a returning item, this may be uh, an item that we didn't try. So I'm very curious. I know I remember seeing it on like the sign of the booth. I just can't remember if we got it. I don't remember trying it or not. But yeah, I have to ask Abby that. But one way or the other, I'm very curious of trying it if we didn't from last year. Oh, there, Abby said, okay, yep. Okay, so she tried it. She got the quesadilla egg rolls. Abs, can you confirm? Did you like it? Was that a yum or a yuck?
And also want to mention, welcome in Patrick Julian. Welcome to the stream. Be sure to check out our friend and moderator, Patrick Julian. Uh, he does some great hockey content. So if you are a fan of hockey in Michigan, please make sure to check out Patrick Julian. He's been crushing it out there. So welcome in, Patrick. Abby says it was a yum. So she said it was good.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I thought she did try it. I don't know why. I don't recall trying it, and I don't know why I didn't try it, um but I'm definitely gonna try it this year for sure.
So, last but not least, the novelties during this year's celebration. So, we have two brand new novelty items. So, we have a Lunar New Year straw clip, which is pictured on the left, featuring horse collar, as well as a stainless steel tumbler, which is pictured on the right. So, what are your thoughts on these novelty items?
I think they're always cool. I think I love how they incorporate like some of the merch and everything based off of like what specialty event that they're having, and it always goes well because I do see people walking around the park um with them. And I'm also excited too that this is the year of the horse because that is actually my year. I'm the year of the horse. So I was always curious because I was going through like which year um for which animal, and I was trying to think of like, what character would represent for the Lunar New Year of the horse, and I was like thinking, and then I started going through a lot of the Disney characters, and I was like, oh yeah, Horace Horsecollar, of course, he would be like the front and center character. But yeah, I'm very it's something that's not necessarily for me. I do purchase some merch if it like really calls out to me, but I don't really usually buy merch just to buy it. And also, kind of going back a little bit as far as the meet and greet for May, I'm very glad that they actually have the meet and greet of her in the full red panda form. I think a lot of people were waiting, to meet her in that for a long time. You can meet her in her human form. I know from past Lunar New Years, along with her mom, that was over by the entranceway to Grizzly Peak. That's like right across from the restrooms. That's usually where they have them. I don't know if they're still going to have them, being that they have, you know, uh, her as the red panda, but unless they do like a rotation, kind of thing. So I think that's really cool that they. I'll probably see if we have time because Abby and I will be going opening day, uh, for Lunar New Year. So maybe if we can catch her, maybe we can get a picture taken.
Very nice. I will also be streaming tomorrow, but like maybe later on tonight. Not tonight, but tomorrow in the evening. So hope to run into you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So wanted to welcome another friend of ours. We have Buzz Lightyear fan. Welcome in. He says hello again, APP and Patrick. Welcome in, Buzz. Good to see you as always. All right. Um, so not just the food and the characters, but we'll also have some special themed entertainment options, such as the Mulan's Lunar New Year procession and the World of Color Hurry Home, which will lead into World of Color Happiness, along with the merch, as George has mentioned as well. So, all right. So, moving on to our next topic of the podcast. Earlier this week, we have got some huge breaking news coming from Disneyland. And that is, let's see, and that is on April 29th, Darth Vader, Stormtroopers, uh, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia will be inside of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. And with this change, Kylo Ren will be moved to the Disney Visa character experience in Tomorrowland. So, what are your thoughts on this change?
I think this was long overdue. I think that this is something that should have been considered, well before, like, just even in the concept when Galaxy's Edge was being created. But I mean, better late than never. I always say. I do love the fact that they are incorporating the original characters from the Star Wars franchise: Luke, Leia, Han Solo, Darth Vader. Even though that you can meet Darth Vader, which he was currently inside the Visa cardholder building, but it's nice to see him actually going to be like out and about in Galaxy's Edge with the original stormtroopers. And I thought it was actually very funny that I was hanging out with theme park conductor at Disneyland. We were there trying the pink milk, and Kylo Ren and the stormtroopers were out walking around, and he said, "I really wish that they would just, bring Darth Vader, have him walk around with the original stormtroopers." And sure enough, a couple days later, that's when Disney announced that they're doing the old switcheroo. I know there are some fans that aren't really too excited about that, which I'm actually really surprised at, due to the fact that a lot of people have been asking for the original characters because they feel like that it's now like breaking into the storyline of Galaxy's Edge. But as I said, you can't appease everybody. But I think for the common family that's on vacation, or that don't get to go to Disneyland that often, I think this will be a real treat for them. I'm excited for it. Um, Hopefully, I'll be able to get there for April 29th for the opening day, because my stepdaughter is due to graduate uh, med school at that time. So around one of those dates is her graduation. So um, I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to the school to hold it off. Don't do it on April 29th. But we'll wait and see. But if not, then definitely probably around the weekend, I'll definitely make it out to see uh, Darth Vader and the stormtroopers, because it's going to be very interesting. Because I'm assuming with them walking around, they're going to have the interaction with guests that Kylo Ren does. So I can't wait to see Darth Vader in action.
Yeah, and actually, I was also thinking the same thing. You know, over the past few years, Disney hasn't really listened to their fans like how Universal is doing. Um, and so I honestly think that it is very exciting that, to have OG, Star Wars trilogy people in walking around Galaxy's Edge. Like, I've heard varied rumors from many people saying that wouldn't it be cool to just have Darth Vader and his stormtroopers roaming around Galaxy's Edge, and that rumor is true. And so my personal opinion is I am very looking forward to seeing this change, and might as well to add with what Scott Gustin is saying is that there is going to be brand new music in Star Wars Land, featuring the scores that we all know and love from John Williams as well. So for all of our streamer friends, there will be copyright issues when we walk through Galaxy's Edge. So, let's see. All right. So, the next topic that I have is FanFest nights. So, speaking about Universal, we have gotten some breaking news this past week that Universal Fan Fest nights, they have released the rest of the IPs. And so this is credit to Mondo from Five Fires. And might as well, before I go over this, to those of you brand new who has not heard of Universal Fan Fest nights, it's an event at Universal Studios Hollywood in California where they celebrate all types of fandom. They did One Piece, Dungeons and Dragons, Harry Potter, Back to the Future, and it also is in the minds of the creators behind Halloween Horror Nights as well. And according to Mondo here, we have some breaking news featuring all the IPs. So, Scooby-Doo meets the Universal Monsters mystery on the backlot. This all-new immersive walkthrough adventure is designed to give guests the sensation of stepping into a live-action mystery with the Scooby-Doo gang and the Universal Monsters. Guests will travel to the destination via the studio tour tram, where they have a chance to walk along a movie studio backlot with Scooby-Doo himself and his pals Fred, Daphne, Velma, and Shaggy. The exciting escapade will challenge them to solve a mystery involving the most legendary Universal monsters in cinematic history, including Frankenstein, Dracula, Bride of Frankenstein, and Wolfman, as they navigate portions of Universal's world-famous outdoor sets from the cobblestone streets of Little Europe to the iconic Court of Miracles, to the original filming locations for historic Universal horror films, Frankenstein and the Wolfman. So, George, your thoughts on the details regarding Scooby-Doo and Universal Monsters?
I'm actually very excited about that. I'm very curious to see how creative they get with it. I love how Universal incorporates the actual locations on the studio lot and where they incorporate the storyline of what IP that they're using, such as from last year's FanFest nights, we were able to walk the actual filming set of Hill Valley where they had the Back to the Future, uh, you know, sets and interaction with the characters and actually going through the storyline of the movie. So I thought that was really creative that they're utilizing the classic Universal monsters right where they actually filmed those black and white classic movies that literally like geared up, Universal for what it is today. But I love how they got creative with it where they involved Scooby Doo because that way it'll allow a fun kind of thing for families and young kids, where because Scooby Doo, you have to solve the mystery like with the monsters and the creatures. So I think it's a great blended collaboration and very creative on Universal's part. Some of the there are a few things that I am concerned about that I hope Universal addresses from last year's FanFest when they do something like this. I'm assuming that it's going to be around the same operations that they did with Back to the Future, where you go to different locations and you'll see a different storyline, so to speak, sort of like how they did with Back to the Future. You go over to the clock tower, you go over to the Enchantment Under the Sea dance where Marty's playing Johnny Be Good and everything. So there's different locations for those scenes. I'm assuming that's what they're going to do with Scooby-Doo and the Universal Monsters. Probably they'll have to follow along the mystery. You have to go to one spot to see a scene, and then you have to go to another spot to see a scene. I hope that they have a much better operational standpoint on it. So that way there's not like a whole lot of people trying to run to each different section, and then you end up missing part of it, and then you're kind of confused, and you can't really follow the storyline. Also, one thing that I actually suggested to Universal when they sent me the survey of how how I felt about FanFest and everything, which got positive reviews from myself. But I did throw in a little piece of advice that I hope that they mic the performers, because I
Mhm.
noticed that when you were going around for Back to the Future, depending on where you were standing, sometimes it's very hard to hear the actor of what they're saying because they're not mic'd. So I actually put that in the survey. So we'll see if Universal does happen to, mic up the performer so that everyone can hear in a much clearer, broad sense. But other than that, I'm very excited to be back on the lot, and not even just on the lot, but in a different location of the lot where you get a
Yeah.
different sense of direction and a feel. Because when we see those scenes, we're constantly in a vehicle in the tram tour. So to actually be like on foot walking around and trying to help Scooby and the gang try to solve the mystery of the Universal monsters. That's going to be awesome. That literally became, I feel like for this year, like the hot ticket that is replacing Back to the Future.
Yeah, and I also kind of also relate to you, George, because I haven't actually thought about that your thoughts before. Um, Actually, being inside of where the classic Universal Monsters films are set is kind of will be very very cool to see for most fans of the franchise. And so I think it's going to be a very exciting and very kind of different, I would say, but in a way, all the Scooby Doo and Universal Monsters fans is probably very excited about that as well. So the next piece of details we have gotten is featuring One Piece. So One Piece is coming back during the Universal Fan Fest nights, and instead of being a meet and greet, it's going to have a live show. And it says embark on the ultimate voyage at the live energy experience, One Piece Grand Pirate Show with Luffy and the Straw Hat crew. Dive into explosive battles, splash filled stunts, and a dazzling pyrotechnic finale. Then head to the One Piece Grand Pirate Gathering fan zone, where you can purchase Sanji's gather, galley eats and themed drinks, plus photo ops with the Straw Hat crew. Um, and actually, this pirate show is featured on the Waterworld area. So, what are your thoughts
So
on
I
that?
feel like this was very interesting because yeah, they had One Piece last year, and it was only like subjected to just the character meet and greets. But I have to say, with it just being a meet and greet, the amount of people that came and cosplayed and they knew the characters, they knew the storyline, they were reciting the lines of the characters when they were meeting them. It was like a One Piece global fan. It was like a One Piece fan fest. Like I think like other than Back to the Future, I feel like that One Piece was like a hot ticket item where people were buying the merch and everything. So to bring One Piece back, but bring it back on a much grander scale by putting it in the Waterworld uh, arena and literally have it as a stunt show with stunts and pyrotechnics and a great storyline, and it fits in well because One Piece, the storyline follows with water, so what a great way to incorporate it and bring it. So I think for people that are fans of One Piece and that they were hyped up just with the meet and greets, I'm for sure this show is going to be very popular. And I'm very excited to see it for myself as well.
Yeah. Um, for me as a non One Piece fan, I was kind of intrigued by how many people dressed up in One Piece outfits from last year and the crazy lines that met that sorry the crazy lines that met Luffy and so many other characters. It's like, wow. And like what you said, George, of having a One Piece fan fest. Like, all the other IPs can wait. Just One Piece fan fest. And just stick it to one IP. But honestly, One Piece, it's growing, the community, uh, and I honestly am looking forward to seeing a Waterworld ish production of One Piece. So, um, the next topic is the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which I'm very excited for. Um, there is going to be a kind of a Villain's Grove ish feel, and it says a forbidden forest adventure awaits. Venture into the forbidden forest and brace for magical mischief. Your evening on the Hogwarts grounds takes on an unexpected turn, sending you on a thrilling journey to help rescue an hippogriff in need. Navigate enchanted paths, encounter magical creatures, and put your spell skills to the test in this immersive walkthrough experience in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. So, what are your thoughts on this?
For me,
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're extending out um more activity with Harry Potter, because last year I felt like it was a little bit bleak for the Harry Potter. Like, I mean, I know they had like the magical creatures like around the land and what have you, but I mean that was um pretty much it. So I love how they're actually having a more in-depth fan experience of the franchise. And if I had to guess where this is going to be located, I'm wondering if it's going to be part of the backlot when you walk through the backstage area at Wizarding World, where they would have Terrifier and the Poltergeist house for horror nights. I wonder if they're going to have like a big setup back there, sort of like a walk through maze kind of thing of the Forbidden Forest, because it's right off of the Wizarding World. Because they're going to have to. I'm assuming they're going to have a bigger piece of land to be able to do this, and it's more so going to be outdoors. But I have a feeling it's going to give off like that feeling of how it's going to be like kind of interactive, like they did with Star Trek and Dungeons and Dragons from last year. But I feel like it's going to be outdoors, and I feel like that's where the location would be. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure, but if I had a guess, I would think that that would be the location they would put this in.
Yeah, and honestly, I've watched a few Universal videos, and recently at Universal they've been tearing up the extended queue for Forbidden Journey, uh, because that doesn't get used, and so and my guess is that it could possibly go over there to utilize that queue area. So I'm just wondering because of that. But honestly, I feel really excited about as a Harry Potter fan myself, uh, and it's honestly going to be very exciting having to like enter into the forest and Not sure what you're going to do, but um, can't wait to see what magical creatures there is going to be and so many other exciting stuff as well. So, we also have a new friend that's joining us. We got MH Reels. Good to see you. Welcome in. All right. Uh, and speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, Dungeons and Dragons is coming back to Universal FanFest Nights. By popular demand, Secrets of Waterdeep is returning. Um, and it mentions we need your help to save Waterdeep. Rally with fellow Harpers in returning fan favorite Dungeons and Dragons Secrets of Waterdeep. Embark on a daring quest to free the city from the clutches of Zenithar, the Beholder, in this immersive walkthrough adventure. So, thoughts on
For D&D, yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I could definitely see this coming back by fan requests and popular demand. I was one of them, as part of the survey that Universal sent out because I actually really enjoyed uh, Dungeons and Dragons. I loved the story arc. I loved how it was like a walkthrough where they incorporated us. I loved the oversized puppetry of the alien creature. I mean, that was done really well, very lifelike. And yeah, I just loved how they did. What I would love to see with Dungeons and Dragons, I hope that they added like more characters to it, maybe a different plot line. But the fact that Dungeons and Dragons is back, I'm very satisfied with that because, as I said, I enjoyed it last year. It was one of my favorite it was one of my favorite moments, I would say, after Back to the Future. Because just like you, I'm not too familiar with One Piece. I'm not a huge like One Piece fan, but I am excited to see uh the show and maybe it'll make a fan out of me. But yeah, I think Dungeons and Dragons after Back to the Future was like my second favorite.
Yeah, and honestly, for me, Dungeons and Dragons was very well done. The character interactions to, what to, even though I'm not a huge fan of Dungeons and Dragons, but for sure, uh, I can honestly mention that Dungeons and Dragons was one of my favorite mazes or walkthroughs from last year from FanFest Nights, and hopefully to uh, go again this year. So, and then the next one is Super Nintendo World is going to once again be involved in FanFest Nights, and this time it's once again Yoshi. So during FanFest nights, Super Nintendo World bursts into a vibrant celebration as multicolored Yoshis take over the Mushroom Kingdom for a night of fun adventures and character meet and greets. Don't miss your chance to find and snap a pic with every Yoshi in the land. So I think that multiple Yoshis will be meeting and greeting all throughout Super Nintendo World. So, what are your thoughts, George?
So for me, I love Super Nintendo. I think it's a hot IP, and I think Universal's doing a great job with it. But I have to be honest with you, even with last year's Fan Fest, this was like my least favorite thing to do. Although we did go down because Abby really wanted to meet Yoshi. And he was so cute of how like, he was all pumped up. He came out and everyone's like, Yoshi, Yoshi. And that was a fun character interaction. The fact that it's kind of similar to what it was last year, we'll probably go down to check it out to see if there is anything like different or how they're going to go about doing it. But this isn't really at the top of my list for things to do. I want to get some other things done first and then make my way to Super Nintendo World. I'm for sure Abby's going to want to meet Yoshi again, and I hope that they do have the other Yoshis for meet and greets, but I hope that you can just get in line and meet them, and you don't have to uh, partake in anything just to be able to meet the different colored Yoshis. Um, that would be a convenience. But as I said, am I curious about it? Absolutely. Are we going to check it out? Definitely. But it's just not at the top of my list of things to do before anything else.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, when I did the scavenger hunt to meet Yoshi, I did not actually expect to meet Yoshi at the end. Um, so that was kind of on my side because I really don't view characters, what I just mentioned, um, and so I'm not really a huge character guy. Like I don't really like to meet them for some strange reason, but I do want to at least try again with Yoshi. It was also my least favorite thing to do at FanFest. Um, so, um, and then it looks like we got a new friend joining us. We have Mike Skellington. Welcome in. Good to see you, Mike Skellington. Hope you're doing well. And then last but not least, there will be more to be revealed. Um, so there will be more stuff to come for FanFest nights. We are just getting started.
And I do have to say too, I think that was a lot of people's concern that when they made the announcement of it's Super Nintendo World and Dungeons and Dragons and Harry Potter and One Piece, along with the Scooby Doo and the Universal monsters. People are thinking, you know, is that it? Is that all we're getting? But then Universal did confirm that there is more still to come. So I think they wanted to kind of get the IP that they utilized last year out of the way, so it builds up the anticipation, because I feel like the next wave of information that they'll announce is going to be like the all new experiences and IP for FanFest.
Right. And I want to get your thoughts because, I mean, we've seen like Wicked, we've seen Star Trek. What could possibly, what else could possibly be brought to FanFest nights? What do you think as the because from last year, there was like what 5 or 6 different stuff to do.
Hmm.
Um, so what are your predictions of what could possibly come to Universal Fan Fest nights for this year?
Well, I do know. I remember when I was going through the survey, and they were asking me like, what are some IPs that you would love to see um, involved, with the next fan fest. And I was kind of going through the list. They did give off like several like for anime, which I think would be really cool, because I mean it already shows that it's very popular with One Piece. So I know that they were saying like for more anime to come to the park. Also, personally for me, I mean, I would love to see a full-fledged permanent land go somewhere in Universal, but if we have to start it off with FanFest, I'm okay with that. I would love to see something with Lord of the Rings.
Mm,
I think that would be an awesome start of, like, doing, like, this kind of, like, Middle Earth kind of, like, travel through, sort of like what they're doing with Harry Potter with the Forbidden Journey, but do it Lord of the Rings style. Um, I think that would be, really cool. Also, part of the survey, I know that they mentioned, uh, Shrek Swamp. Um, I'm not 100% sure if they'll go that route, but I know that they had that on there on the survey. But for me, I would love to see Lord of the Rings in some format.
Hmm.
But
Well,
what would you like?
well, thinking about, because I haven't really taken that survey, um, but I would think that I've heard a lot of rumors uh, that a K-pop Demon Hunters walkthrough would be nice because if you think about it, K-pop Demon Hunters is a Netflix thing, and which made tens of thousands of viewers watch and tens of thousands of dollars made. And there's like a huge fandom of K-pop Demon Hunters because their children watch it, they dress up, they sing the songs. It's like the new Frozen. Um, and so I think a K-pop Demon Hunters something would possibly go there. As far as me myself, um, I would say like I've also heard rumblings of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Uh, don't laugh, but maybe a Trolls thing. Like I don't know if
Yeah, I think
it.
like if they did like maybe like a trolls kind of like dance party kind of thing, like I could
Yeah,
see or like a trolls concert kind of thing, like where they had the like on that stage area in that central plaza where they hold Grinchmas. Um I could definitely see them doing that. I definitely can see them doing the K-pop Demon Hunters. Um, I think honestly, if they were to do something like that, I mean, maybe even that can be like a concert kind of thing that they have, or they can do like the character meet and greets that can replace like for where they had the Wicked characters. You know, they could have like the meet and greet. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think, would be cool. I think that's a very popular IP that I think they can maybe do like a walkthrough. Maybe that could take the place of where Star Trek was. I think that would be kind of cool.
yeah, and I would also say Wicked for Good could possibly come back, but I just have them in their part two outfits.
Yeah, I could see that.
Even some extra characters from that franchise, like Fiero and the Wizard and other characters
I
from
think
that.
that's what they would do. I think if they were gonna bring the Wicked character backs, I think they'll go more than just Alphaba and Glinda. Or Galinda. But yeah, I could see them doing like the wizard, Fiero, as you had mentioned. Yeah, I could definitely see them doing other characters.
All right, so there is one more topic that I wanted to discuss. We can also keep it going further if you have anything to talk about, or if any of the chat would like to talk about something. I'm open, but recently, this past Tuesday, Universal Orlando announced that the Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift that is in Hollywood is also coming to Florida. And it says that it will be racing into Universal Studios Florida in 2027. And it says the high speed coaster will feature 360-degree drifting vehicles and a 170-foot vertical spike opening next year on the former Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket site.
So
What are your thoughts, George?
I think for me that this is what I have loved to have seen a different IP go in there. Absolutely. I think we all knew it was going to be a roller coaster. It was a roller coaster replacing a roller coaster. personally, I would have loved to have seen, being that it's on the New York streets, um, and utilizing a different IP. I personally would have loved to have seen Ghostbusters. Um, to be
Mm.
honest, and actually, Ghostbusters would even be a nice IP for FanFest as well. Um, but as far as like the roller coaster, I would have loved to have seen a Ghostbusters roller coaster. Um, or maybe even, I mean, I know this isn't New York, but even like a Back to the Future roller coaster, like something with a different IP, to just kind of mirror and copycat, what we're getting out here. And it just felt like a bit underwhelming. And I really wish that Universal would have just made that announcement right off the bat, rip the band-aid off and just say, hey, we're doing a replica of Hollywood Drift, rather than have us wait and guess that it's going to be something different when it really wasn't. Having said that, I do think that this is a strategic move for Universal. I think for some reason, something about the Fast and the Furious franchise, something is in like a clause in a contract or something, that like there has to be some sort of an attraction for Fast and the Furious in the Universal parks. I just more so feel like that they, sacrificed Rip Ride Rocket because uh it was already an attraction that had a lot of downtime. There was a lot of technical issues with the coaster and what have you. And, they just probably thought, it's time. So let's replace it with Fast and Furious, Hollywood Drift. Um, but I feel like that the bigger piece of the puzzle is not really necessarily Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift. It's getting rid of Supercharged. And I feel like that they needed a Fast and the Furious attraction. So they said, let's just go with the coaster. So that way they can get rid of Supercharge. And I feel like that's going to be a big kind of e-ticket dark ride kind of thing. I feel like that's what Universal is honing in on it, because as soon as they made the announcement that Hollywood Drift was going into that spot, they immediately said that Supercharged is closing permanently in 2027 as well. So that's definitely not a coincidence. So I feel like that they both kind of go in tandem with each other, that they're putting in that coaster to get rid of Supercharged.
Right, and also might I add too is um, I also thought it would be from this teaser. I would also think Back to the Future as well. But to be honest, I have am very looking forward to seeing on both coasts Hollywood Drift, and this is I think a great move by Universal themselves, because now that Hollywood has their Hollywood Drift, um, I guess it's only right for Orlando to get it as well.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I can understand it. I think my thing is I always love like originality, where when they first built Cars Land when I was living over on the East Coast, Cars Land was primarily out here at Disneyland for DCA, and it was like it made me want to get on a plane and travel cross country to experience Cars Land, because it would never, it wasn't in anywhere else. Now they are going to build Cars Land Piston Peak over at Magic Kingdom, but I love how that they're utilizing the same IP but in a different format. So even though that this may be a replica of the roller coaster, I hope that they add some differences to it as well that will like separate it from California's Hollywood Drift and then Orlando's. I mean, I know it's going to have the same kind of like ride system and ride vehicles. I'm hoping that they actually have different cars, different model cars. Like they have certain ones over here in California, but they have different ride vehicles for the cars over in Orlando. I'd be cool with that.
right. MH Real says it might be contractual, but I think this is the better fit than Ghostbusters or a Back to the Future coaster. I agree,
I
MH Real.
actually, as I said, I would love to have seen Ghostbusters or Back to the Future, but I do agree to the fact that I do think it's contractual. Definitely. Yeah.
Let's see. We have my Beachman. Welcome in. He says, "Hi, APP and everyone. Welcome in, Mike." Um, let's see. MH Real says, "I don't think this is going to make me travel all the way to go ride it, but I think this was the best logical move they can do."
Mhm. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Mike, for the reminder. Make sure to smash that like button if you are just joining us. Subscribe if you're new. Uh, MH Real says 15 likes. Not bad. Very well done, guys. All right. So I think it's time that, or actually, why don't we let our guests uh, see what else we could possibly talk about before we deep dive into some Q&A. Um, and if not, we'll do some Q&A.
So for me, I just wanted to bring up really quick that being that, we were talking about like the construction, for Universal Orlando. And I did bring up a little bit with the Cars Land Piston Peak, but I just find it so fascinating of how quickly the construction is moving uh with Walt Disney World, with Tropical Americas and Piston Peak, with the far off distance of Villains Land. I know, we still got some time, but there's some interesting movement of, I guess, around the Haunted Mansion area. I'm assuming that they're going to be expanding out the queue as part of the expansion, which I'm really happy for. I always thought that the queue for the Haunted Mansion at Magic Kingdom was very tight, very squeezed in, very boxed. So if that is the case, where you can get some breathing room for the extended queue for Haunted Mansion, I'm definitely all for it.
For sure. Um, let's see. So I think it is time for some Q&A. Um, so feel free to let me to ask me or George some questions, um, and then we will head on out. So MH Reels first question says, "What do you guys think of the new Piston Peak over there in Magic Kingdom?"
I think for me, I'm going to reserve full judgment until I actually see um, what it's going to be like once it's finally completed. So I'll go by just what Disney has released to us as far as like concept art. And I always say never get married to concept art, because it changes uh, like a click of a hat. um, but uh, but for me, I love the fact, as I mentioned before, that they're utilizing the same IP, which is Cars, but they're doing it in a different way. And I love if they can get that natural beauty of like wilderness and what have you, and they add lots of trees and a real waterway, like where water is streaming through. Along with, there's going to be two attractions. There's going to be one that's kind of like a wild but mild kind of attraction for like the little ones, and then there's going to be the e-ticket attraction, where it's supposed to be like off-road, um SUV kind of driving kind of thing. So I'm very curious to see how it is. But I think if it's done well, I think it can look really nice if they do it right. I want it to have a lot of realism along with the character backdrop of the world of Cars. Like when you come out to Cars Land, it literally looks like you're walking into Radiator Springs, where you can see of how it can kind of look animated, but you still have those realistic, lush landscapes of Ornament Valley and what have you. So I think if they find a balance that they, to bring the realism and not make it look very cartoony, um, and very one dimensional, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and my thoughts on Piston Peak. At first I thought like, okay, they are building a Cars Land in Frontierland, and first off, I honestly don't think that works at all. But then I started, thinking about it, and honestly, um, and actually, speaking of the concept art, you know, they kind of have the Frontierland aesthetic. Like it's country slash, you're on the open roads, you know, you're in nature, um, etc. So, um, that's what I think. But as far as I'm sure every Walt Disney World goer always pretty much knows that, you know, there are things that, can get used to. Um, like it'll be very weird to have cars zooming when you're in Frontierland or running to Tiana's or what have you. Um, but I think I can trust Disney enough um, that Piston Peak, the new Cars Land, um, should be enjoyable and over guests as well.
Yeah, I think from what Disney said was the way that they're going to angle this area where there's going to be sound barriers, so you're not going to be able to hear like any of the sounds of the cars, while you're in the other areas of Frontierland. It'll only be at, when you're actually in Piston Peak. So I don't know how much of that is gonna, come forth, but yeah, I'm right there with you. I trust Disney that they could pull it off and do it tastefully done.
MH Reels also says, my next question is, what do you guys think of the Walt Disney animatronic at Disneyland? Be honest.
Well, first, MH Reels, thank you for so much for your questions, and yeah, definitely, yeah, don't get married to the concept art. You love that saying. That's one of my top favorite sayings that I usually use. Um, when it comes to the Walt Disney audio animatronic, here's my thing, and just like as you said, be honest. I'm gonna be very honest. I was taken aback by when I first saw him because I think we all have a concept in our mind of, this is a real person, how he is actually going to look. And this is Walt Disney, and they had to like knock it out of the ballpark with this. Did they knock it out of the ballpark? No. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. Do I think that eventually they will do it? Yes, absolutely. I will say though, when you see him in person, it's not as bad when you see it on camera, like when you watch like YouTube videos or photos. Um, Also, too, I feel like when you're a little bit further back and you get the full aesthetic of the face and the body language and everything, and you kind of put it all together, it also looks a little better. I think if you're a little bit more closer, you can kind of see, how it can, differentiate. And also, too, and I know a lot of people, compare the Walt Disney audio and animatronic to the Abraham Lincoln. Well, here's the thing. Abe Lincoln was also a real person. But a lot of times they have to go by photographs and what's in history books because Abe Lincoln existed many, 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 many decades before Walt Disney. Walt Disney is more of a current person where everyone knows where we've seen like live footage, of him doing his television series and the Your Host Walt Disney kind of thing, the Wonderful World of Color, and everyone there are people that are still living to this day that have met Walt Disney and spent time with him. Haley Mills, Bob Gurr, Tony Baxter. There are people that like have met him and have known him. Um, so for me, I would say there's definitely room for improvement, but I don't think it's as horrible as people initially thought. I waited to actually see him in person before I gave my full judgment. Now, I do hope that too, um, that they may actually work on the audio animatronic for the next Walt animatronic that they're going to put uh, in the Carousel of Progress at Magic Kingdom, which I'm very excited for. So we'll see if there is some like room for improvement. There's always room for improvement with anything, even not even just an animatronic, but just uh an attraction. That's what Walt always wanted, was to plus things. So, but do I think that it's an absolute travesty of an animatronic? Absolutely not. I still think they captured him to the best of their ability, because you also have to think too, the structure of the face when you're doing an audio animatronic and the way that they have to make the facial expressions move and everything, it's gonna be looking different, than how a person would actually, because it's a robot, it's not an actual human being. So to try to make a replica of a real life human being that existed, I think they did the best that they could.
Yeah, and honestly, I can say too is, at first when I walked into the building, I could say that no matter what, how many views, negative comments about this walled animatronic, like I've heard he's the pillow guy from My Pillow, or but I honestly think, and this is from, I guess, Disney's standpoint, is that they want Walt Disney in his original park. And I feel like that this is a way to honor him and to recognize him that, hey, Walt Disney, he's a real person. And, he actually built this theme park that's so loved by many people 70 years later. Um, he walked the grounds. You are in Walt's original theme park. Um, and so it's very important to, like what MH Reels, I also agree,
I
too,
do
is that I think it's very important to preserve his legacy for younger generations.
That is very true. That is very true, because a lot of times the young kids, they love going to Disneyland. They enjoy it. But do they really know the name of Disney? They just think it's just the name of the park. Do they know there was a person who existed that created all this magic for us, Walt Disney? So yeah, I definitely agree with that, that there is a place that you can go inside of Disneyland to showcase the man, the myth, the legend, of Walt Disney, and I love that not even just with the audio animatronic, but even the movie, the little movie that is tied to the show that goes through the main pinnacle points of Walt's life and his career and the ups and the downs. So I love how they orchestrated that.
Right. All right. So, let's see. MH Real says, yes, they can always improve it, and I think it's good for children to see. MH Reels also said, oh, I'm glad they're putting one in Walt Disney World as well. So, in Carousel of Progress, Walt Disney is going to be having an animatronic over there. And then also MH Real says, let me just say this. I cried when I saw the Abe Lincoln animatronic. I thought it was amazing. So I think people will need to give Walt Disney a chance. Exactly, MH Reels. Alrighty. So if there are no further questions, let's go ahead and head on out of here. So thank you everyone for joining us. Once again, do you mind telling our viewers where they can find you and any new content on the horizon?
Absolutely. First off, Amusement Park Pirates, thank you so much for having me on. This was lots of fun. I would definitely be more than glad to come back on if you'll have me, and also to definitely join in on Holo Gelato as well. And to the chat, thank you so much for your interactions, your opinions, your questions. We greatly appreciate it. But yeah, I'm George, the Disney Italiano. You can find me on my own YouTube channel, Holo Gelato, with my fiance Abby, and we do a lot of in-park vlogging. As we were talking earlier on the live, I will be there opening day for Lunar New Year. I will be there opening day or night, I should say, for FanFest night. So if you're in any of the parks, if you happen to see us, please don't be shy. Come up, say hello. I enjoy the attention. I absolutely love it. But yeah, so yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming on the horizon for Holo Gelato. As I said, we're going to do lots of food reviews for Lunar New Year. We'll be there, as I said, opening night for FanFest. Also in March, we will be going down to Florida for our Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando trip alongside two of my great friends, Theme Park Conductor and Tommy Toon World. Definitely check them out on YouTube as well. But yeah, for any future content, which we got a lot coming on the horizon, please feel free to go over to Holo Gelato and subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we got a lot of content coming out, so you won't miss it. But yeah, you can find us on Holo Gelato on YouTube and also Holo Gelato on Instagram.
And once again, you can follow me on Amusement Park Pirates. You can check out all of our socials right here on this QR code. We are on YouTube, X, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. It is all there. We also have a brand new website as well. So if you are interested in checking that out, that has all of our latest updates, videos, and so much more, including our merchandise. We have new merchandise that has been out, so and more to come in the coming year as well. I want to also thank our sponsors. Let's go ahead and thank our friends at Nick and Shannon, your trusted travel advisor. If you are thinking about booking your next Disney trip, Ear to Their Travel is the way to go. At no extra cost to you, they can help plan your dream vacation, whether it might be at Disney or anywhere else you have in mind. Make sure you click that link in the description or Scan this QR code to submit your request and start planning your next dream vacation. We hope you enjoy your trip. And also to our friends, the Magical Coffee Company, if you love great coffee themed to your favorite Disney attractions, check out our friends, the Magical Coffee Company, where you can get 10% off your first purchase. Also, if you want to see your favorite streamers all at one time, check out the Disney Streamer Network. To our other friends that are joining us, we thank you. Like George mentioned, thank you to everyone for your interactions, your engagement. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. I also want to check out. I also want to shout out to our amazing moderators for joining us, keeping the chats clean, fun, engaging, and for anyone who enters the chat. Thank you, Ninja Watchers, our Patreon members, as well as all of you for joining us. I also want to thank George, the Disney Italiano. Want to thank the Disney Streamer Network for having us on the multi-view. And thank you to what a great opening to another season of the happiest podcast on YouTube. This year, I do want to focus on not just news, but how-to videos, tips and tricks, etc., and also the big and juicy news of construction, because there's going to be a lot going on, and a lot going on for this channel as well in this new year. So thank you everyone for joining us, and as we always say during every live stream, we will see you in the parks real soon. Good night, everybody, and see you tomorrow at Disneyland. Oops. Hang on.